Loneliness can feel louder with age, but being alone doesn't mean being empty. In fact, true peace begins when you stop chasing and start choosing. This guide isn't about surviving solitude, it's about mastering it. And the final shift I'll share, it's the one that rewires your entire sense of self. Stay till the end. Your heart deserves this. Inner stillness. We commence this gentle exploration by turning our awareness inward towards that sacred quiet space that resides within each of us, a sanctuary of stillness that remains untouched by the ebb and flow of external circumstances, including the presence or absence of companions. It is a common human experience, particularly as we navigate the later seasons of life and the landscape of our relationships naturally shifts, to equate being alone with a sense of loneliness or lack. Yet, this perception often arises from a mind that has become accustomed to seeking its reflections and its solace solely in the outer world. The ancient wisdom traditions, those deep wells of human understanding, teach us that true contentment, true peace, does not depend on external validation or the constant presence of others. Instead, it springs forth from an internal fount, a wellspring discovered when we have the courage to sit quietly with ourselves, to become intimately acquainted with the landscape of our own inner being. For many older women who may find themselves with fewer friends or companions than in earlier years, this can feel like a daunting prospect initially. The silence can seem to amplify a sense of emptiness if the mind is restless or accustomed to distraction. However, this very silence, when approached with gentle curiosity and a patient heart, can transform into a profound invitation. It is an invitation to discover the richness that lies within, to hear the subtle whispers of your own deeper wisdom, to feel the unwavering pulse of life that animates your very core. This is not about rejecting the world or denying the natural human desire for connection, but about first establishing a deep, unshakable connection with yourself. When you cultivate the capacity for inner stillness, you begin to realize that your own presence is a source of profound comfort and companionship. The frantic search for external validation or distraction begins to subside, replaced by a quiet confidence in your own inner sufficiency. This stillness is not an empty void, but a space teeming with potential, for peace, for insight, for a gentle joy that is not dependent on anyone or anything outside of yourself. It is like discovering a hidden garden within your own heart, a place where you can always retreat for solace and renewal. The journey towards this inner stillness often begins with the simple act of conscious breathing. By bringing your attention gently to the rhythm of your breath, noticing the rise and fall, the inflow and outflow, you anchor your mind in the present moment, quieting the internal chatter that so often fuels feelings of restlessness or unease. This practice, cultivated with patience and without judgment, gradually allows the sediment of a lifetime of experiences and anxieties to settle, revealing the clarity and peace that lie beneath. For an older woman who may feel that the world has become smaller or quieter around her, this turning inward can open up vast new territories of inner discovery. It is a path towards realizing that even when physically alone, you are never truly separated from the wellspring of life itself. This inner stillness is the fertile ground from which a new kind of happiness, a self-sourced joy, can begin to blossom, independent of the comings and goings of others, rooted firmly in the unchanging essence of your own being. This is the first crucial step, to recognize that within the silence that might surround you, there lies not an absence, but an invitation to the most profound companionship of all, the companionship of your own true self. It is here, in this quiet sanctuary, that the seeds of lasting peace are sown, nurtured by the simple, profound act of just being present with yourself, without demand or expectation. This is the foundation of all that follows: mindful presence. Having acknowledged the profound sanctuary of inner stillness, let us now explore how cultivating mindful presence can transform the experience of being alone, particularly for older women, shifting it from a state potentially perceived as lacking into one rich with subtle observation, gentle appreciation, and a deep sense of connectedness to the tapestry of life itself, even in solitude. Mindfulness is the art of paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally to whatever arises, both within us and around us. When we are not mindful, our thoughts tend to wander, often replaying a past filled with memories, some joyful, some perhaps tinged with sadness or regret about lost companionships or different times, or anxiously anticipating a future that may feel uncertain or lonely. This mental time travel pulls us away from the only moment we ever truly have, the present. For an older woman living alone, if the mind is constantly adrift in what was or what might be, the present can indeed feel empty. However, when we bring mindful presence to our daily activities, even the simplest ones, they become imbued with a new sense of richness and meaning. Consider the act of preparing a simple meal for oneself. Done without presence, it can feel like a chore, perhaps a reminder of cooking for others who are no longer there. But approached with mindfulness, it becomes a sensory meditation, noticing the colors and textures of the vegetables, the aroma as they cook, the warmth of the plate, the taste of each bite. Each sensation fully experienced grounds us in the here and now. Similarly, a quiet walk, even if solitary, can become a profound experience of connection when undertaken with mindful awareness. Instead of being lost in thought, one can notice the gentle breeze on the skin, the songs of the birds, the way the light filters through the leaves, the feeling of the earth beneath one's feet. These simple, direct experiences of the world around us can bring a sense of wonder and belonging that transcends the need for human chatter. The universe itself becomes a companion. Mindful presence also extends to our inner world. It involves observing our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without getting swept away by them, without judging them as good or bad. For an older woman who may experience moments of sadness, grief for past losses, or anxiety about the future, mindfulness allows her to acknowledge these feelings with compassion, to sit with them as one might sit with a troubled friend, offering gentle understanding rather than trying to push them away or becoming consumed by them. This capacity to be a compassionate witness to one's own inner experience is incredibly empowering. It teaches us that we are more than our thoughts and emotions. We are the awareness that observes them. This creates an inner spaciousness, a sense of stability that is not rocked by every passing mood or memory. In this space, a quiet contentment can take root, a peace that comes from simply being present with life as it is in this very moment. The practice of mindfulness can be woven into every aspect of daily life. It can be found in the mindful drinking of a cup of tea, feeling its warmth, savoring its flavor. It can be in the gentle observation of one's own body while doing simple stretches or household tasks. For an older woman seeking happiness in solitude, this capacity to find richness and engagement in the present moment through mindful attention is a transformative skill. It reveals that life, even in its quietest forms, is always offering beauty and opportunities for deep connection, if only we are truly present to receive them. This is how the alone moment becomes an alive moment. Joyful solitude. We now arrive at a crucial turning point in our understanding, a gentle reframing of what it means to be alone, particularly for older women who may find themselves with fewer external companions than in previous chapters of life. This involves transforming the perception of loneliness, with its connotations of lack and sorrow, into an embrace of joyful solitude, a state rich with opportunity for self-discovery, quiet pleasures, and profound inner growth. This shift is not merely a play on words, it is a fundamental reorientation of the heart and mind. The societal narrative often equates being alone, especially in later life, with being unwanted, forgotten, or incomplete. This external conditioning can create a deep-seated fear of solitude, leading individuals to constantly seek external validation or distraction to avoid confronting the perceived emptiness. However, many wisdom traditions and contemplative practices revere solitude not as a void, but as a sacred space, a fertile ground where the seeds of inner wisdom and authentic happiness can truly flourish, undisturbed by the clamor of the outer world. For an older woman, the years may bring a natural paring away of external roles and responsibilities. Children may have grown and moved on, careers may have concluded, and some cherished friendships may have been altered by time or circumstance. While these transitions can bring moments of grief, they also open up an unprecedented opportunity for a different kind of engagement, a turning inward to cultivate the rich landscape of one's own being. Joyful solitude is not about isolation from the world, but about finding contentment and fulfillment from within it. It involves consciously choosing to invest in activities that bring a quiet sense of pleasure and meaning, pursuits that can be enjoyed in one's own company. This could be immersing oneself in the beauty of literature, losing oneself in the creativity of painting or writing, tending to a small garden, listening to inspiring music, or pursuing a lifelong interest that there was never enough time for before. These activities, when engaged in with full presence and without the need for an audience, become sources of deep personal satisfaction. Furthermore, joyful solitude allows for uninterrupted introspection and self-reflection. It provides the precious time and space to digest life experiences, to gain clarity on one's values, and to connect with a deeper sense of purpose that may have been obscured by the demands of a busier life. This inner work, far from being isolating, actually strengthens one's capacity for authentic connection, both with oneself and, should opportunities arise, with others on a more meaningful level. The joyful aspect arises from a genuine appreciation of one's own company, from finding comfort and even delight in the quiet rhythms of a life lived with intention and self-awareness. It is about recognizing that your own thoughts, your own presence, your own inner world can be a source of endless fascination and peace. It means learning to be your own best friend, offering yourself the same kindness, understanding, and gentle encouragement you might offer a cherished companion. For older women who may have spent much of their lives nurturing and caring for others, this period of solitude can be a profound opportunity to turn that loving attention inward, to nourish their own spirit. It is a time to release the societal pressure that dictates happiness must come from external sources, and to discover with gentle wonder the profound wellspring of contentment that resides within their own hearts. This embrace of solitude, not as a deficiency but as a precious gift, is the pathway to a resilient and self-sufficient joy. Spirit's embrace. Our final and most profound understanding in this journey towards finding happiness alone, especially for older women navigating their golden years, lies in recognizing and consciously cultivating a connection with the dimension of being that transcends the purely personal, what we might call the spirit, the universal life force, the Tao, or simply that deep, timeless essence that is the source of all existence. This is not necessarily about adhering to a specific religious doctrine, but about opening to an awareness of something vaster, more enduring, and more interconnected than our individual everyday self. When we live solely from the perspective of the limited ego, identified only with our personal history, our roles, and our physical form, the experience of being alone, particularly in old age when external attachments may diminish, can indeed feel like a profound loss or a diminishment. The ego thrives on external validation and connection in a certain way. However, when we begin to sense, even faintly at first, that we are part of a much larger and infinitely wise and compassionate unfolding of life, then the feeling of aloneness dissolves into a sense of all oneness. This connection to spirit, or a deeper spiritual reality, can be nurtured through various contemplative practices. Meditation in its many forms helps to quiet the discursive mind, allowing us to touch that still point within where our individual consciousness meets a vaster awareness. Spending time in nature with deep reverence and quiet observation can evoke a profound sense of belonging, a feeling of being held and supported by the earth and the cosmos. Reflective reading of sacred texts or wisdom literature from diverse traditions can also open pathways to this deeper understanding. For an older woman who may be experiencing the natural letting go of earthly roles or companionships, this spiritual turning can offer an immense source of comfort, meaning, and unshakable peace. It provides a context in which the individual life journey, with all its joys and sorrows, is seen as part of a greater, purposeful whole. The fear of diminishment or ultimate isolation fades when one recognizes the timeless, formless essence of one's own being, which is never truly separate from the source. This embrace of spirit also brings with it a profound sense of inner guidance and companionship. Even when no human friend is physically present, one can feel accompanied by this loving, wise presence that permeates all things. This can manifest as intuitive insights, a sense of peace that surpasses understanding, or a quiet joy that bubbles up from within for no apparent external reason. It is the joy of the soul recognizing its own nature. Cultivating this spiritual connection is a deeply personal journey, and it unfolds differently for everyone. It may involve prayer, contemplation, acts of loving kindness towards all beings, even from afar, or simply a consistent practice of gratitude for the gift of life itself. The key is the intention to look beyond the surface of things, to sense the sacred in the ordinary, and to trust in the loving intelligence that underpins all of existence. For senior women seeking not just to cope with being alone, but to truly thrive in a state of profound and joyful self-sufficiency, this spiritual embrace offers the ultimate anchor. It reveals that true happiness is not something to be found out there, but is an inherent quality of our deepest being, always present, always available, when we learn to turn inward and connect with that timeless, loving essence that is our true home. This is the peace that cannot be taken away, the joy that needs no external cause. The journey of finding happiness in solitude, especially as we gracefully age, is not about resigning ourselves to loneliness, but about awakening to the profound richness, peace, and boundless love that reside within the sanctuary of our own being. It is an invitation to cultivate inner stillness, to live with mindful presence, to reframe solitude as a joyful opportunity for self-discovery, and ultimately, to embrace the timeless spirit that connects us to all that is. May you walk this path with gentle courage, dear friend, and discover the unshakable joy that is your truest inheritance, a luminous peace that shines brightly from within, regardless of any external circumstance, lighting your way with serene contentment for all your days. This exploration of finding happiness in solitude is so beautifully articulated, especially the concept of transforming loneliness into joyful solitude. Many older women might resonate deeply with the societal pressures mentioned and the fear of being alone. The shift towards valuing one's own company and inner world is truly profound. Which of these chapters, inner stillness, mindful presence, joyful solitude, or spirit's embrace, felt most like a missing piece or a particularly empowering perspective for older women navigating this stage of life without many external friends? Sharing which concept touched you most could offer comfort and insight to others.